9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Cue 'em, Gino. Record. And we're starting in as soon as you see the red start.
Okay.
And you are live.
It's our happy music.
My headphones are on. Are yours on?
Hello?
Yours aren't either?
They're on.
Mine are.
Are yours?
Huh?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Mark has to come to go to bed. So do we. I don't have a microphone though.
All right. You don't have a microphone?
Nope.
No, you're on.
Yeah, you're on.
You're on.
We hear you.
All right. Wisecrackin show. It is 10 o'clock on, what is today's date?
Today's the 16th.
16th.
It's the day after tax day.
Oh, God.
Don't you know
I
it?
just did my taxes yesterday.
Oh, don't remind me.
Well, Marty did my taxes because she's like, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." But I had a 1099 from Uber, and
Right.
and they're like, "Yeah, it's going to be an extra $300 to do that." So she did it was 109, right?
Well, that's how much you owe.
I'm getting back a whopping $4. My ex is like, "You getting back money? Because you owe me money." I'm
No,
getting back.
you don't. You're not getting $4. You have to pay
I have to pay.
$109.
Oh,
Ain't getting shit,
Yeah.
lady.
No.
nothing. So
No.
0.0.
this is what I told her. I'll plead the fifth.
There you
But
go.
we have Kurt Zimmerman with us tonight.
Yes, doing.
Up and rising comedian, stand-up comedian.
Yes, thank
You
you.
have an event coming up.
Yes, I do. I
If
can
you'd
plug
like
it now
to,
or plug it later. Whatever
You can
want.
plug it now if you
All
want.
right, I'll plug it now and plug it later.
Yes.
Hey, if you're in the Hamilton area, Thursday night at Villa Maria over at 3800 Quaker Bridge Road, we're having a comedy night. It's the first comedy night over there. Sam, we're going to start doing them on the third Thursday of every month.
Okay, and it's BYOB. And
BYOB, it's free. So come on over, get some nice food from Sam and the gang over.
What
at
kind of food do they have there?
Italian, I'm guessing.
It's
right?
Italian. It's a good
Okay.
Italian menu. Very good over there. Good pizza. You know, the sandwiches and stuff. So go in there, get something really good to eat. Come into the banquet room, sit down. The show time's at 7:30.
I love that.
And we've got a kick-ass lineup of
I
comedians
think we
coming.
should go.
I think we should.
Yay!
Lynn Edmonds
Yeah.
will be there, right?
Yes, actually, we got a whole bunch of gang. Two of my former co-hosts of the Robbinsville Trainwreck, the late lamented Trainwreck here on Hamilton Radio. Lynn Edmonds and Tim Eli will be there. Randy Simon Lupo, who has been a frequent guest on the Trainwreck, will be there.
Okay.
Ed McCarty, who's a up-and-coming comic from Bridgewater, he's going to do a set. And we have PJ Stansberry, who used to work for the Comedy Store out in Los Angeles. He's coming out.
Wow.
Wow. Does he still live in Los Angeles?
No, he relocated back to the East Coast a few years ago. So every once in a while, he'd come in and do some time with me, and you know, you could tell that he's worked at the Comedy Store.
You think the show will be funny?
I would hope so. I mean, that's why it's a comedy show. Oh, the abuse of heaped upon me. No, the show's going to be great. The show's actually going to be really
You know,
funny.
I have a question about that. So, did you ever get somebody who heckled you?
Oh yeah, I got heckled plenty of times, and there's two types of hecklers.
Yeah.
You have the drunk ones who just are out of their heads and they just start going.
Right.
Oh, that's so
And
terrible.
no, but then there's the ones who just come around and say, "You suck.
You suck. You're terrible.
You're terrible." Right?
Want my
Yeah.
money back. It's a
You-
free show, dick.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for giving me my comeback on Thursday night. No,
That'd
but
be so great.
But if you have the drunks, you can actually work with them with some
Right.
crowd work.
Right.
Yeah.
I had one down at a show in Roebling one time. It was this old lady. She was stepping on and shitting on every comic in the set. And when I came up, I got up to her and I said, "Your name's Brenda, right?" And she goes, "Yeah." And she goes, "Do you want me to get you something to drink, something to eat, leave you out in the middle of the fucking woods that we don't have to hear you?" And my mic just went out.
Did your mic go
Yeah.
out?
Yeah, my mic just went out. And now it's back. And as I was walking on the punchline of the joke, I said, so I said to this woman, "Can I get you something to eat, something to leave you out in the middle of the fucking woods?" And the whole place erupted. And
Yeah.
I just kept going back to her because I figured I'm taking care of the elephant in the room. And now the funniest one I ever got was I was at Catch a Rising Star one night, and this lady, I was doing some bit about something, and I forget what it was, because I do a lot of self-depreciating humor.
Yeah.
And she looks at me, and she was drunk, and she goes, you know, you ought to kill yourself.
She said that to you?
Oh my god.
Yeah, in the middle of the show, and I go, and I, thank God for once I actually thought of something really fast on stage. I go, that's funny. That's what my 12th grade counselor told me.
Oh.
And so, but I said, now I have advice for you. Shut the fuck up.
Right.
Because she was.
You know what? If you're going to go on stage and expose yourself like that,
Well, I haven't exposed myself yet. I don't need to get
know what
last
I mean.
that way.
Like as a stand-up, listen, I tried stand-up once.
Well, I was going to say, David, that Jerry kind of heckled you, and that's how you guys met.
Jerry Petito from Hamilton Radio, where we
Yeah.
are now. She heckled me. When I first met Jerry, she came across as an angry lesbian.
Yeah, he accused her of that. She was
And that's
seated
what I
right
told her. I'm
behind
like,
me.
what the fuck's up with you?
Mm-hmm.
And then we became friends. I mean, I pissed her off, and I apologize, Jerry.
This is the second time tonight, Jerry. Love this man. It's okay.
Public. I apologize for not showing up
Right.
to your event
He is
Mea culpa.
apologizing profusely.
profusely. I'm not
And he's
gonna,
talked about you nonstop.
I have
Yes.
promoted her.
Oh, baby, give
and
me
then we-
one more chance.
And then we became friends, and it's weird how something works out like that. But to get up on stage now, your comedy, do you keep it? No, you don't keep it clean. What's your comedy?
Self-depreciating humor.
Like
You know-
Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah, kind of like that. I talk
Yeah.
about, it's the one thing you learn if you go into it. You got to be truthful. I can't go in and do.
My iced tea.
Oh,
Oh, look, she's just pointing for the iced
I
tea.
know. I'm like,
I know
You
it's
got to be
so true.
truthful, because if I go in there and I start talking about trying to pick up chicks at a bar, looking the way I do, it's not going to be believable.
funny guys get chicks all the time.
Well, I must have not been funny for most of my life now. But the whole
They
thing,
do.
but the whole thing is that if I go on stage and I look like angry middle-aged guy with teenage daughter, that seems to get
that's
The
that's
yeah,
better.
because
that's
people-
the image.
Yeah.
I walk on stage and people look at me and go, "Is that fucking Peter Griffin?" From Family Guy.
Oh my God.
You know what? That is true.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
why I grew the beard. I wanted to get away from the Peter Griffin look, because if I'm clean shaven and I wear a white shirt and green pants, people,
Self-depreciation works, and if you can like kind of own the heckler. And,
Oh, yeah.
Like if someone says, "Hey, you're just a fucking fat guy," and this and that. Own that shit and use that back against them.
Absolutely.
Then they can't say
And
anything
then just
more.
keep on referring to them through the entire show.
Oh yeah,
Look, I give stand-ups a lot of credit because I tried it, and
I thought you were great.
it wasn't for me. But I was talking about how some old lady shoved a potato up her vagina when I was doing my EMT time, and how I called it into the hospital as a pregnancy, and they said, in routine
what's the kid's
occasion-
name? Spud.
Yeah, I said, we get a call to a nursing home. Like, she put something in her vagina. We don't know what it is. And when a potato starts sprouting, right? So I look and I'm like, Jesus
The eyes have it.
Christ. I looked and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, it's a fucking potato. And I learned later on.
Was
it
she
wasn't-
Irish?
No. I learned later on it wasn't some spot. It was like a big fucking Idaho that she put up there.
Where did
So-
she get a potato from?
I don't know. So I
Well,
I
you can't
couldn't
use
have
those
kissed it.
Yukon Golds. It'd be like Benoit balls.
Right, right. That's so true.
He's an asshole.
Thank you.
But yeah, I think there's a compliment also. And I lost my mic too just now.
Yeah, really.
Did
What's
you?
going on?
Hey,
Is it the ghost of the old lady who used to live next door to the studio?
Gene, not Gene. Ruben.
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 I'm live.
I can hear your mic.
And I
Can
can
you
hear
hear me?
Marty.
Yeah.
What about
I
you?
can hear yours. Maybe
I
it's
can
your
hear myself in
headphones.
the headphones.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
You're
Can you
fine.
hear me?
It's probably back now.
Y'all
Okay,
rang?
that's
No, yeah, I lost my
Hello.
headphones for
Hello.
a second.
Yeah, we're good.
it.
You
Okay.
guys are good?
Is this God?
God is talking
It's
to
me,
us.
Ruben. Hello, God. It's me, Ruben.
Yeah, I lost my headset for a minute.
I wonder if
You
Ruben
lost
was named after Ruben
I
Kincaid
think
of the
Ruben
Partridge
does that on
Fart.
purpose.
Shut up, kid.
Shut up, kid. All
You're a
right.
little redheaded
Yeah.
hamburger.
All right, you're excused now, Ruben.
So proud.
Thank you, Ruben.
I told you I was listening.
And I can hear Gino in the background.
So
now.
we're in a new studio, just getting used
Yes,
to
this is
everything.
beautiful in here.
It's nice. It's like a game show in here.
Yeah, I want to do a game show.
Like password?
Yeah, we can have a whole bunch of people on and play like kind of
We
Dirty
gotta do.
Jeopardy.
We gotta do words.
Instead of
against-
password, let's do pass stone.
Oh.
Ah!
Ah.
Give him a
So-
copy of the home
so
game.
you do self-depreciating
Yes.
humor. What humor don't you do? Well,
I
he
don't.
just on the other show he made a joke about what was it about the cathedral in France?
Well, yeah.
Notre Dame.
Yeah,
Notre
okay.
Dame, yeah.
I'll repeat it just for your audience on there. I said I had something too spicy for dinner, and when I came out of the bathroom, it burned a little bit. And I said I had some French people singing and praying outside of my bathroom door. What's wrong with that? I wasn't making fun of the French and the tragedy that happened. I was talking about the tragedy that's my lower intestine.
Even I went. I'm like, oh damn.
Oh, come on. What's wrong?
Oh.
I didn't say, haha, look at the place burned down. No, I was talking about the tragedy that is my
You
colon.
know what someone did? They put
I see that.
put a dragon from Game of Thrones
Yeah.
shooting fire on the cathedral.
Yeah, David got upset.
Did you ever wonder if a guy...
Upset.
I do a joke every once in a while about, having to prep for a colonoscopy.
Oh, I can talk about that.
And doing
'cause
a hot,
I've
and
done
drinking
that.
hot sauce the day before.
Oh no.
Oh no! Are you serious?
Yeah. I mean, that really is
Why
seriously...
would you do that?
Seriously, that's where Johnny Cash got the thing for Ring of Fire.
Oh.
No, I'm just
No, I was
kidding.
like, no, he did not.
No, I do a bit where my daughter, as a joke, takes me to a hot sauce festival the day before I have to go to a colonoscopy.
So you've had a colonoscopy, right?
Oh, yeah, that's loads of fun.
Well,
Oh.
the prep is horrendous because you got to drink like about this much of the stuff.
Right, and it
I
tastes
have
like
it,
shit.
I have it in orange
Yeah.
Gatorade and I have it on ice and I just chug it.
Right,
And then you feel like shit for like 3 hours. You feel like
right. You feel like you're going to barf for about 20
You
minutes.
feel
That
nauseous.
sounds awful.
And then
It really-
it finally comes out. It's like
It comes out like, like Paul Lind, hi, I'm here, fill the bowl up.
it's like when the levee breaks by Led
Yes,
Zeppelin.
yes.
It's just like yeah.
I like what your gastroenterologist said about yours.
What?
He's like, well, David, you didn't get totally clean, but we didn't think you would.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I actually, I've had a couple of them because I was tested when I was a teenager. They thought I had Crohn's disease.
I have
Wow.
that. I have colitis.
And so, when I'm 16 years old, I had to have a barium, lower GI done.
Ah.
And so the problem is that, you did the prep and all that. And so the next day I go into the radiology place and they give me this hot nurse, to do this. And I'm sitting there going, 16 years old going, please don't get erect. Please don't get erect right now. Please don't get erect.
Right.
And she
right.
goes, this won't hurt a bit. And she was out to here and I could just feel them on my back as she's like trying to, go. And I'm like, oh, Christ. And I was sitting there going, please don't, baseball, baseball, baseball.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, you don't want to get the inappropriate. You don't want the fight to get the inappropriate boner.
Yeah, exactly. That's
I've
not.
seen it happen.
I'm sure she has.
And where have you seen inappropriate boners?
I
at?
am a nurse.
Oh, okay. You are a nurse.
Now, I do public health now, but
Oh, okay.
I have spent
No,
my
but that's the
time.
whole point. I'm sitting there going, oh, please, God.
And
please,
all you're like,
no.
Yeah.
So so after the test, I shit a vanilla milkshake for the next 3 days.
Right,
It was
right.
just hard. And the pictures didn't come out right. And I said, no, we're not going to do this anymore. Oh, yeah.
like that, and you just feel like shit for like the next.
But you're talking about the orange Gatorade. When I had my lower GI done in 81, I had to drink the lemon, citric of nitrate,
Yes.
which was like the lemon soda that was invented by Dr. Mengele.
Yes.
Oh,
It's
And
so
that's even worse. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you drank a bottle of that, and then you ride the porcelain Honda all night, and
Yeah,
then
he slept in the bathroom with a pillow.
I really slept in the bathroom.
Yeah,
You
he
have
just,
to.
He just I have this little tiny bathroom that used to be a closet,
Mhm.
but it's just a half bath, and there's a sink there, and he just put the pillow on top of the sink and just laid in there, and slept on the toilet.
You
It
know-
was
the
so
best thing, you get the
terrible.
drugs. You get the drugs. You don't remember shit. They give you the drugs, and then you wake up, and they're like, "All right, wake up, wake up,"
Oh,
and you're just like,
all right. I have
Oh,
I have a story about my colonoscopy.
"Okay."
I go in there. Needless to say, we won't talk about the prep. But the morning of the procedure, I go into the hospital 11 o'clock because they had to take me later in the day. So I'm sitting there. I'm miserable enough. I get there about 10:30. They put me in behind a curtain. Now next to me, there was a gentleman who was mentally disabled, and he had I'm not picking on him for that, but his handler wasn't taking care of him.
Right.
And so he's screaming at the top of his lungs, "Eat! and eat, and he's screaming this. And he wants to eat, and I don't blame the guy, you know? And I finally scream out in my father's best voice, for Christ's sake, give him something to fucking eat.
Yeah.
Right? And so they finally rush him, you know, they give him something to eat, and he calmed down. I said, okay, that's the end of that. So I'm drifting off to sleep, waiting to go back. I figured that's the best thing I could do is take a little nap.
Right.
The next thing I know, somebody's grabbing my ankle going, hello, hello, hello. He got away. And I'm going, nurse, get somebody in here. I'm like, exactly. And I'm sitting there going, oh, my God. I couldn't, you know, it was like, it was getting to hell. So they go in there. And I look, and the last thing I remember was looking at my anesthesiologist. And the only way I can describe her is it was General Burkhalter in drag from Hogan's
ugly,
Here.
Oh.
And you're ugly, and your mother ugly, and your sister ugly. You just plain old ugly.
Exactly. And she's looking at me like, okay, we're going to go Betty Bye now. And I'm like, okay. And then the last thing I'm thinking before I wake up is like, is this the shit Michael Jackson had? You know? And
Propanol. Yes.
Propanol, yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
next thing you know, I'm up and about, and you know, like it's like that.
It is, and it's why you can't get a restful sleep,
Mhm.
you know, with that kind of
No,
drug. Like
no,
it's
no.
like they say count back from 10. You're like 10, you know, and then you're up.
But I don't remember anything. I mean, you know,
No.
they could have been driving a truck up the Lincoln Tunnel there, and I wouldn't have
Yeah.
known
Yeah,
a damn
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
But you know why we do this? You know why we do this? For our health, and that's
Right,
the
that's
thing.
right.
Yeah,
I'm overdue. I
If
have to
you-
get it done.
If you catch it when it's early, then
Mhm.
you know things are pretty beatable.
Yeah, they did find a couple polyps in there, and they took them out. Now they're middle management for the state of New Jersey. You know, and they found an infected hemorrhoid, so it's going to be on Dancing with the Stars next year. So
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, you
What are
know.
they doing on the computer? Look at that.
I don't know. They're messing around with it. They're going over to the Golden Girls hour on there.
Apparently.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're messing with stuff.
We're in a new studio right now. We can see things on a screen, which is behind the camera, but in front
Yeah,
of our
yeah.
faces.
So this is cool. I like this. This
I
is
like this.
It's,
Yeah.
I like it too.
it's
very
getting
cool.
away from the
Very
creep.
roomy.
It's not Aunt Frankie here anymore.
And Frankie.
You know, I mean, seriously.
Oh look, he's writing something.
Are you taking?
Yeah. Are we taking calls?
Yes, we are
Yes.
taking
Yes.
phone
Yes.
calls.
Yes.
Wow, look at
This
that
is
Why do
also
we-
like
notepad.
Oh, look
Why
at
do we
that.
have one? If
Do we have a phone call?
If we have one, just push them through.
Cool.
Cool.
No,
Okay.
it's hot in here.
It's hot as
No.
We're
hell.
watching. We're watching what's going on the
We
screen
have
here.
no phone call, David.
Burn, baby, burn. Thank you, Ruben.
Hey, Ruben, put the phone number up.
Yeah, put the phone number
Oh,
up
yeah,
on
I
the
forgot
screen.
to put the phone number.
Maybe
up.
we could get a few people to call in
Yeah.
and say, you know, hey, what's going on? And then maybe they could talk about their colonoscopy
Put the
nightmares.
phone number up in big letters.
I haven't had the pleasure of one of those yet.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, well, come on, Marty.
No, I haven't done it yet.
No, she's been there for me though.
I have.
When I
Yeah.
had it done,
Right, and I told everybody you were okay. Told them all about your colonoscopy.
I wanted to do a live from a live feed from Facebook.
Oh, Jesus. That would have been good.
So, where else have you performed your comedy?
Oh, let's see. I've been all over the place. I got into New York a couple times. I did the stand on 3rd Avenue. I did the Greenwich Village Comedy Club.
What got you into stand up? Like, you think you're funny?
You know, it's one of those things. It was always a hidden desire of mine. It started with my uncle. My uncle Eddie was a real character, and he was one of those guys. He was just naturally. He could take over a bar, you know, and he was my father's best friend. So, you know, he would just take over a place, and he would just be telling jokes, and everything would be good. And as I got older, and I started listening to guys like Rodney.
Wait, hold on. You hear that? You guys hear static?
Yes, there is some noise in my headphones
Yeah,
too.
we have noise.
Ruben, we have noise in our headphones. If you want to kind of fix that,
Yeah, it's a little
it's a
distracting.
little distracting right now.
So,
Yes.
but getting into like just listening to stand up. I mean, when I was a kid, we listened to. He's checking on it. Thank
He's
you.
checking on it.
Did you listen to Pryor? Like when you know?
Yes, my favorite album of Richard Pryor is that N-Word's Crazy. That is my favorite,
Oh,
and especially
That's
his
better.
his
Mine's
bit
better.
his
that's
bit.
better.
Yeah.
Thank you. His bit of wino dealing with Dracula.
Yes.
That is one of my great.
Who did we listen to from
Okay.
Sanford and Son?
Well, we listened to Red Fox, who was crazy, and LaWanda.
I was
Page.
I was in a Chinese restaurant the other night, drunk as hell. I came over to the waiter. I said, "Come on over here, ping pong. Should I eat this or did I?" I used to memorize a Red Fox album.
I did one date to her.
LaWanda Page.
Oh
Yes.
my
And
God!
Esther, we couldn't even believe.
Oh no,
the
she was
comedy.
filthy on stage.
was
She was so
filthy.
filthy.
What about the thing about the? I forget. There's one joke that you can get on the internet about the crazy white lady or something like that.
Yes, we heard that one too.
That's a great
But my
joke.
favorite line from that show is, "I'm gonna take your face and push in some dough and make some gorilla cookies."
Oh my God!
And
Or
it's
when
even
he-
on the Saran wrap.
When he held up the saran wrap, "Here, put this in front of your
She's like,
face."
"What's that
What's
for?"
this? That's your Halloween mask. I didn't appreciate it when I was younger.
No.
But now going back and
Oh.
watching, you can never have a show like that now.
Here's the thing about Red Fox. He never forgot where he came from.
Right.
'Cause he
Oh,
came
no.
out of he
Right.
came out of vaudeville. He came out of the African American community vaudeville. And a lot of those guys, like the guy who played Grady, the guy who played Bubba, they were all of his friends in vaudeville. And LaWanda Page
Yep.
was a stand-up in the Los
Yeah.
Angeles series.
Yep.
And she worked clubs and clubs and clubs, like and he never forgot where he came from. And when this part came up,
Look
he
what
knew.
he's doing.
Yeah, I know. He's putting up on Esther. You old fish-eyed fool. She was the best part of that show. I love.
She was.
I mean, they like.
Remember when they were in jail? And she,
Oh.
and she
She started
sang.
quoting the Bible. Watch.
Oh, here we go. Gorilla cookies. Yeah, bring it up.
Heathens try to get righteous when they think the Lord is about to tap them on the shoulder. Listen, Esther, if I wasn't so sick, I would give you one of these across your ugly lips.
Ugly lips.
Who you calling ugly, sucker? I'm calling you ugly. I could stick your face in some dough and make some gorilla cookies.
Greatest line ever that show.
Greatest line ever.
Thank you. Oh my
Ain't
God.
it funny how
Hey, hey, look up when they were in jail. If you can do
Oh
that
yeah,
one.
when she's like trying to say.
Oh, this
like,
is great. We never had this at the old.
We
school.
never had
No,
this.
this
Is
is-
great.
This is awesome.
Yeah,
great.
look up Sanford and Son jail. It should
Yeah.
be it should be Esther there with a Bible.
Yeah.
You old heathen.
You all heathen.
No, LaWanda Page was really funny, and
But
if-
it's funny
Yeah.
seeing her as Aunt Esther, right? Aunt
Yes.
Esther, and then seeing her as LaWanda Page, how she
Yeah.
really
and
is.
who she was, and she was actually pretty beautiful.
oh yeah, she was.
yeah, yeah.
She was a
There
beautiful
there
woman.
is a movie that Bob
Wait,
Cat.
wait,
Oh,
wait.
wait. Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
While he's bringing it up, I'll just say this one.
Oh, right there, up one. Yeah, that
Yeah,
one's
that's
fine.
the one right
That's
there,
fine. Right
right.
now,
Uh-oh.
Ruben, does that go on the big screen? Can other people see this?
Fred in jail. Oh my God. Here we go.
Ruben,
Oh, he's trying to answer
Oh.
you. Yeah.
can other people see this on the screen?
Yes. All right. Yeah.
Yes, he can do it.
You
Nice.
can do it.
You can do
You
it.
can do it.
Do it all night long.
Yeah, play the Sanford
Play
Son jail.
Fred in
one.
jail. Yeah, Fred in jail. That's always a good one.
Yeah, this is good.
Here we go.
What you do, you old heathen? What is this? The
I know
Oh,
it's like
no.
the 5. It's like the 5-second thing.
Yeah,
you
they
can,
gotta have an advertisement right
oh
now.
my God.
I fucking hate advertisements for YouTube. It just
I know it's kind of like
We
making
want
it.
everything for free immediately.
immediately.
Yeah, we do. We want it free. Yeah.
He's screwing around with the show, man.
It's a shame John
He is
John
a
had to
brilliant
go.
engineer
What's
right
that?
now.
It's a
This
shame
is,
John had to. He's just working out details. Well, now that we know
well,
we can do
John
this.
had some trouble with Abby.
Yeah.
That he
Yeah.
had to attend to.
But I
John-
think we provided some good older advice
Yes.
tonight
Yeah.
because I think Abby needed to hear that it was not all him.
Right.
It's not all him.
Because we do as men we do.
Oh, here it is. Here it is.
Okay, here we go.
Go ahead, play it.
Oh, he's not ready yet.
Okay.
But all John had to do was communicate.
Mhm.
Say,
They're young.
I'm not
They're
going to be able to
young.
make it to the hospital. I'm a poor man without
Right.
a vehicle.
Listen, I try to give advice to this one girl at work, and that shit doesn't work. She's still
No.
whatever. You know what? You want to do what you're doing and keep making that. I'm like 20-something years older than her.
Mm-hmm.
Are we getting Fred in jail or what?
No, it looks like we're getting some commercial. Okay, here we go.
Oh,
Fred in jail. Here we
All
go.
right, Fred in jail.
And here we go.
There we go.
Play the clip, Rodney. Play the clip, Ruben.
Rodney Rubin.
Rodney, Ruben, whatever. Here we go.
Okay.
as we have blank screen, but
There,
Fred in
Fred in
jail.
Fred in jail.
Oh, why you shut up, Esther? You
Volume.
just keep sucking on that sucker.
We have no volume. It's Sanford and Son is with Marcel.
And run for your
Oh my
You
God.
heathen. I'll just say her. What you doing in jail right now, you heathen?
Hey Ruben, it's funnier with
I'm
audio.
so disappointed in you.
Yeah, it's usually better. It's usually better with audio, Ruben.
Yeah, here we go.
Okay, here we go.
He's like, "Fuck you, Dave.
He goes, okay.
You're gonna work from our $60."
Wah, 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 wah. Wah, wah,
Well,
wah.
the new
David,
studio.
play the thinking music.
Yeah, there we go. Oh my God.
Oh, why you shut
The
up,
new
Esther?
studio
Here
is
we
working out
You just
perfectly.
keep sucking on that sucker.
I think it's wonderful in here. We have
This
some
new
good stuff
studio's
over
got
there.
more kinks than 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh. Where's I'm thinking one?
Oh, why you shut up, Esther? You just keep sucking on that sucker.
Sometime soon.
We're confusing people. We're seeing.
And run
Sometime
for your
soon, Ruben will
chain,
figure
you
this out.
I mean, you're hearing the match game music with Aunt Esther on there.
Sanford, I'm glad my sister isn't here to
I like
see
that
the
area,
awful
though.
Ruben, we
stain.
kind of need sound.
All right, so
All right. Anyway, it's not working.
why don't we just do that? Just play the clip, and then Marty can do the voice of Aunt
Right,
Esther, and
I'll do it.
I'll do Fred.
Okay.
I don't know.
I could be Lamont
There you go.
Lamont,
because Lamont's
yeah.
in jail also.
Lamont was always the
See-
peacemaker.
Yeah.
You know? And he was really put in a tough position
I think he has too many windows open.
between
Yeah.
Fred and Esther. He
All right,
looked-
wait. He's fast forwarding.
Okay.
Okay, let's see what we got. Let's see if we can try this again. Try
Fred
this
in
again.
jail. Come on.
Oh,
Oh.
Here we go.
There we go.
all right.
Oh, why you shut up, Esther? You just keep
Louder.
sucking on that sucker. And when I pull your chain, you bark.
Oh.
Otherwise, don't you say nothing.
Yep.
Fred Sanford, I'm glad my sister isn't here to see this and see the awful stain you put on our family. Hey, Nestor, I didn't put no stain on your family. Your family was stained when I met y'all. Don't you talk about my family. I talk about your family. Every time a baby was born, they had that ugly stain on them. That's right. That ugly stain. Even Ajax couldn't do nothing with a stain.
Oh my God.
Dare you say something like that about my family? Why you bean-eating bear hugger? You told me
Did her wig fall off?
Yeah, shut your double-breasted lip. You was written all over your neck to respect. Will you hold it, please? When you just shut your big little basket, you... Don't shut up. I'll shut up when I get back. You don't tell me to shut up. Listen, Nestor, you're not the only one that knows something about the Bible. Remember this. He who keep running thy lippin' will get their lippin' split it with one of these.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you, Ruben.
That's the whole thing. That show was just funny as hell.
But that
yeah.
could never come out today. That, Archie Bunker, Hill Street Blues.
Yeah.
Any of those-
no,
any of
People are
those.
too sensitive now.
Archie Bunker would not make it the 15 minutes on the first episode.
Mash.
No.
Mash.
Mash, maybe Mash, if they, but
Hawkeye
With
and
the,
Kappa
with
were
the,
really
with the
fun
Me
together.
Too now, with the
Oh, with the hot
movement,
lips and all
with
that.
the hot lips and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And
it's terrible. I mean,
now, do you feel, because of the political climate that we're in, do you feel like you can't really say, but you say something, or you write it down, and you're like, I don't know, man.
Oh, yeah,
That
I
might
mean-
be, that might be too much.
well, exactly. It is too much. Like the joke I said about, France.
Mm-hmm.
I posted something on Facebook yesterday, and it was like, and I had a different one.
Yeah.
And I said, I think the fire is German in origin because the French firefighters are not fighting it.
Oh.
So, and I said to myself, it's too soon, And then I go an hour later. And
The
there's
fire's still burning. Man, it's too
okay,
soon.
but here's the thing. 3 hours later, there was 5 other comedians who had that same kind of thought process.
Behind every tragedy, there's always, there's always something funny.
Oh, exactly.
There always is something. There is. And what's his name? Jessel?
Anthony Jeselnik?
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought you were going. I thought you were going to say Georgie Jessel, but that's going way back.
No,
Anthony
Jessel
Jessel.
is brilliant. He did a thing on thoughts and prayers,
Mm-hmm.
and it's brilliant, and it's so true because. Can you hear me,
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
Ruben?
I can hear you.
Turn up my earphones.
We're having earphone issues.
There you
we
go.
Well,
That's
we're going to
better.
be done in a few minutes, too, because look at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna
It's
end soon
gotta
anyway.
go. Yeah.
Do you ever feel like tied that you can't say anything, or you say something,
Oh.
you're like maybe this isn't the audience, but you use the same material on a different audience, you get a different response.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can tell
You have to know
you.
your room, right?
You have to know the room.
But how do you when you first come on the stage know the room?
You have to sit there ahead of time, and you have to watch people.
Yeah. Well, I think that's good courtesy anyway.
I mean, I'm not going to go, and I'm not going to do older style humor. Like, if I walk into a room, like if I'm at a Masonic lodge or something, like a group like that where it's a bunch of older guys with their ladies, I know I can go and push, I say calling the Johnny Carson card, where I can do a little bit of the edgier, non-PC humor, but you don't want to go overboard with it.
Yeah.
Right.
But if I'm doing, I would bomb at any college, because I could just go in there and I'm going to go, you're not funny, you're old and fat, and you're not politically correct. And that's the thing. A lot of comics don't like playing colleges.
I've heard that. Bill Maher says that, too.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the thing is that everybody, these kids, and you know what the thing is, I call it youthful exuberance, because they're getting passionate about their world.
Right.
But the problem is that a 19 or a 20-year-old get butthurt because they don't have their sense of humor fully developed yet.
Right.
Exactly.
See, and this
And
is
that's-
where I thank Trump in a sense, because he's made Saturday Night Live funny again. He's given there's material every day. You don't have to search for it. You can just quote him and be like, no, he didn't say that windmills give people cancer.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine?
Yes.
Can you imagine if Nixon was still alive? This guy makes me look good. You know?
Right? he has Nixon's criminality.
Mm-hmm.
He has Reagan's dementia,
Mm-hmm.
and he has Bush's like just stupid, goofy, dumb, doing stupid shit kind of things all rolled into one ball.
Right. And
And comedians are having a ball.
yeah,
Now, do
he's-
you get into that type of humor or no? Not
I
really?
can't. The thing is that political humor. I don't think I'm fast enough for it. I mean, if I can think of something.
I think that, the news moves so fast.
But the problem is if you say something and you don't know your room, or the room's a little bigger, and you have that one Trump supporter, and they say something, you're like, and you don't know, you're like, oh
You
yeah,
don't wanna
that's a good
argue.
point. You don't want them to one up you.
Here's the thing. I always feel like if you don't know the room, or if you don't feel totally comfortable, or
With the
if you don't,
material.
or you just don't give a shit. You know what I mean? I stick to the good stuff that'll work with anybody. Kids, marriage, being a fool, making yourself look foolish. Yeah, I do play it safe, but you know what? This day and age, talking about
You
religion,
kind of have to.
talking about religion, talking about politics, unless you're really sharp and on top of your game, you better just.
There's always going to be somebody who disagrees with you, and people are crazy.
Mhm.
Because
But-
you say something in the show, that could set somebody off.
Well,
Exactly.
Let me ask about George Carlin.
Okay.
Because, so George Carlin went very taboo and started, I guess, in the 1960s or 70s?
Well, if
And
you
it
really.
was, it was a different world then, right? I
Well,
mean,
what happened with Carlin, if I remember, he was very straight-laced. If you ever saw like the old clips of
The
him,
old clips.
when he's clean-shaven doing the Indian
Oh,
sergeant bit, and he basically, the counterculture revolution of 68, 69 got to him, and he realized he got to the point is kind of like about the same time Richard Pryor, because if you look at Richard Pryor, he was trying to be Bill Cosby back then.
Oh, yeah.
Without the raping and the drugging and all that other stuff.
Right, right.
And that's the other sad part about it now. Bill Cosby was such a great start, but you know what? Nobody wants to hear it now, because as brilliant of a storyteller as he is, because
Right, yeah.
you feel awful listening to
Hey,
this.
Ruben, see if you can bring up Bill Cosby barbecue.
That's Eddie Murphy barbecue.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
No.
it is a weird thing.
Ruben. Ruben!
He's busy talking.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the Eddie Murphy
No,
barbecue,
no, no.
which
no,
but-
no, there's a different one.
But the thing is, the Eddie Murphy barbecue, that's talking about family. And
Yes.
that's, everybody can relate to that.
Yeah,
That's still
yeah.
funny today.
Bill Cosby, if Ruben can bring it up, if Ruben's paying attention to us, which he's not, it's called Bill Cosby. On his show, where they were having a
Cosby
barbecue,
Show.
the Cosby Show. We're having a barbecue, and his wife notices everyone's kissing and on each other and hugging, and he goes,
Because I put the ecstasy in the iced tea.
he's like, you see everybody? She's like, it's the sauce. She goes, I got a jar of sauce up in the bedroom, because that's the secret. That's why everybody's like this. They're all tired, and remember that? And now, like, watching
And
was
he
like
wrote
so
a lot
in-
of those episodes.
He wrote a lot of those.
Yes.
Now,
I
let me-
don't like house flies. I like Spanish flies.
Yes, exactly.
Let me ask you, and I know which one for me, which comedic death really hit you hard?
Oh, shit. That's Rodney. Rodney really did.
Rodney.
Because not only was Rodney brilliant, he could go in and he could do the same 45 minutes, and it would still be funny.
Anywhere, it'd still
He
be
had a
funny.
funny face.
And he was good. But here's
Yeah.
the other thing about Rodney. He started so many people. He was so generous with his
Started
time.
so many
Dangerfield.
people.
He started,
Yeah.
he started Dice. He got Dice going. He
Yeah.
got Sam Kinison going,
Yeah.
Bob Schimmel, Bill Hicks. Like a lot of his HBO specials, I heard a lot of good people on there. Bill Hicks, oh my God, he was brilliant too. He that one, I didn't follow him as much because I revered Rodney. I mean, when Rodney's album No Respect came out in 1980, I never laughed so hard at anything in my life. I had to listen to the album over and
Yep.
in about
It's
3
brilliant
months.
humor.
In about 3 months, I had the whole damn thing memorized. I used
Yeah.
to go to parties and just do the Rodney bit, so I was a hack.
Yeah.
And people still think I'm a hack, but going by the same point. But the thing is that was the power. I guess that's where it started getting into me. Hey, you might want to try this, but let's try it with your own words instead of using
Yeah.
Rodney Dangerfield's.
Instead of being like,
I'll tell you, it ain't easy being me. But I had the messages down. But then I started writing, like, as I started putting my own jokes in along with his stuff, like when I was 15 or something like that. And they were terrible jokes. They were horrible jokes. But the problem is I was 15 and I was stupid and I didn't
You
have
didn't have your humor yet.
I didn't have my humor yet. But the problem is that Rodney got me going in that direction where, it's better to make fun of yourself because, needless to say, when I was in middle school, the target was on my back. So I realized if I could put the target on myself where I wanted to get hit, then that took that away. It took
Right.
away the bully's power.
Right.
And the thing is that then I started getting mouthy. Then I started talking back to these guys when I got to high school, and I basically looked at them and I said, you know what? I make fun of myself. Up yours, assholes.
Right,
Yeah.
it doesn't work when you take that away from them, like the bullies and
Little
stuff.
power.
Take away their power. It doesn't
Exactly.
work. I'm at the age now where I'm just, and Marty will test this. Like I get insulted sometimes. I'm like that motherfucker, but
He gets very bothered.
but by most accounts, I just don't care. Like a lot of the times with people.
Yeah,
Just
exactly. You can't worry about it.
Whatever. What?
Well, you're back.
Where are you going? Who's running this? Who's running the thing? What, Gino?
Yeah. Well, is he ready? Because if we have to wrap up, is he going to be
Yeah.
able? Okay.
We're wrapping up.
We're wrapping up soon.
All right, great.
Soon, not yet. In a minute. We're
yeah.
still. Yeah, 10 minutes.
10 minutes. That sounds good.
My biggest one for me was Robin Williams,
Yes.
but he was just. There's so much. He was so versatile and just so funny and so out there and so crazy and so, but so alone and so sad at the same time.
Yeah. There was a vulnerability that he showed on stage. Like, okay, did they just kill my mic off?
No, I'm still. Are you still on?
Can you hear me?
I'm on.
I can.
Yeah.
Okay. It's these earphones. Thanks.
The
Great job.
earphones suck.
No, but the whole thing is that
Too.
Robin Williams, you would look at him and you could see the pain. You could look through and see the pain. Rodney, you saw the pain too. You knew that all of his life wasn't, beer and Skittles. But the thing is that he took that and he became a warrior from it. You could see that warrior mentality. Did you know when he was known as Jack Roy, he used to hang out with Lenny Bruce?
Did he really?
Yeah, him and Lenny Bruce were friends back in the 50s. They used to hang out at like the delis, like if you ever see like on the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, they used to hang out in these delis in Midtown, and talk about the gigs like in the afternoon, and like him and Lenny Bruce and Mort Saul and these guys, they'd all hang together. And that's when stand-up really started to get developed. Stand-up in the form that it was really didn't start getting developed till the late 50s. That's when guys like Lenny Bruce was able to take the monologue
Yep.
and really do something. And guys like Mort Saul, Shelley Berman, these guys, they're kind of unknown now. But Shelley Berman, Bob Newhart. Bob
Yeah.
Newhart was
he's
an
a
amazing
brilliant
stand-up.
guy.
He was actually one of the best stand-ups I ever heard. I heard the button-down mind of Bob Newhart when I was about the same age, and I said, this guy's not the weird guy on TV. He's really funny.
Yeah.
Right, kind of like Bob
Well, the fact
Saget.
that he
Oh, yeah. Oh, Bob Saget. Oh,
Bob
my
Saget
God.
is hilarious, and he's so
Yes.
fucking dirty. Like,
I didn't
Yes.
realize
this
that.
is not the guy from Full House.
Right,
Yeah.
I didn't see him before he did Full House,
Do-
and then
do
it was
you-
that special afterwards.
Do you think Lori Loughlin will ever open for him again?
Oh, she'll open something. She's
Orange is the new Full House.
right.
Oh, no.
And
You know what bothers
Aunt
me?
Becky's going to jail.
You know what bothers me about it? It's the arrogance. I'm not guilty. You know what, lady? If there's evidence, you are. You're going to pay.
But you know what her punishment is?
What? Being on Fuller House?
Yeah, no. She has to. She has to act. She has to give 120 hours to like these playhouses and do like grip stuff. Act and do the acts, but do it for free. So you're punishing an actor.
I don't know.
breaking
She hasn't even been. She just pled not guilty. She said she was going to plead guilty, but then
No,
she
the
realized.
judge gave her the punishment already. It's been handed down.
Oh, I didn't even
Yeah,
know
she
that.
had like 120 hours of community theater.
No. Are you talking about Felicity Huffman?
No.
No, this is Lori Loughlin.
Yeah.
Even though she's pled not guilty,
I
she has to
think
go to
that,
trial.
yeah, she didn't even go to trial yet.
No,
Yeah, she just pled non-guilty. She changed her plea.
I mean, I
oh,
could
she
just.
changed it now?
Yeah,
yeah,
she
I think
changed
that
it
was
to
a joke
guilty.
that you heard. That's an onion thing.
Yeah, it's
Is
an
that
onion.
onion really? You think
Yeah,
so?
for
Yeah.
community theater. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
you know.
she's going to go to real big jail.
Yeah, I mean,
And
the,
Aunt Becky
the,
goes to jail. I want to see all the kids.
the
in
next
full-
season on Fuller House, Aunt Becky gets a soap dildo.
Aunt Becky gets a conjugal visit from Uncle Jesse.
Yeah, I know. or better, a special guest star Joey Lawrence. Whoa.
Whoa.
Now I want to dip into real quick. I've been watching. I watch it. We have a bunch of people in wheelchairs. We have TV on all the time, so we have to.
Matlock.
What?
Matlock.
Not Matlock.
Wheel of
Matlock.
Fortune.
I do
Wheel
like
of Fortune. But we have on a lot of Lucille Ball,
Oh yeah.
and I didn't realize.
Her real name was Testicle.
I,
Sorry, that's an old joke.
there's
Come
something
on.
wrong with you.
That was in the Friars Club, 1952.
There's something
So.
wrong with you. I didn't realize how big she was before.
Well, she was
I Love
big, and then
Lucy.
she had a special surgery that tightened. Oh, sorry.
Deal with a comedian.
Wah! I can't feel nothing, does he? Wah!
She was so hilarious. Like she was the first female physical comedian.
All right. Let me say something about this. Is my opinion about Lucille Ball. Physical comedian, yes. She knew how to sell the comedy.
Right.
She didn't write it. She did not write it. She sold what Marilyn Pugh, Jess Oppenheimer, and Bob Schiller and Bob Weisskopf and all of the writers that Desilu had. These people came from her from radio. She actually did a show
Yes.
called My Favorite Husband.
Yes, with Desi.
No,
it with
it was she was married to a regular American guy on there, but they wanted to put My Favorite Husband on television.
And that's where she learned like how to act it out. and
Well,
everything.
yeah, but she was a great radio comedian because she knew the sense of timing. That's where she got her timing at. And then the thing is that when they wanted to go to television, she wanted Desi Arnaz to play the husband, and CBS was, no, it's an ethnic thing. And she went out, and they went into like a vaudeville to state fairs and stuff,
Yep,
and they did
yep.
their bits, these routines, to sell it to audiences that he could play off of her. And CBS executives and William Paley at the time said, yeah, okay, this will work.
Wow, he knows more about it than I do.
Oh yeah, I study this shit. And the thing is, the other thing about it is that the real success behind I Love Lucy was not Lucille Ball so much. I'm going to give Desi Arnaz a huge prop here, because he was the one that came up with the idea. Back then, if you were watching a show on the West Coast that was filmed on the East Coast, it was a kinescope, which was basically one camera shot at a TV screen,
Right.
and it was all grainy and it sounded and looked like shit, and then they were able to ship it out to the coast. So if you wanted to watch like Milton Berle in 1948, it looked great on the East Coast. It looked like shit out west. So Desi Arnaz said, look, we live in Hollywood. We want to film this. So they set up the 3-camera setup that every sitcom uses today, where they actually film it. And they got Carl Freund, who was a great cinematographer from Hollywood that really knew how to shoot Lucy, really make her look really good. They hired her. They bought part of the old RKO studio that they made Desilu Studios out of. So Desi Arnaz said, so now the whole country got to see I Love Lucy in crystal, crisp, clear, because at the Network Central, they were able to send the video or the film out every week that they could show, or on the network, it came out looking really good. They didn't have to use kinis or kinescopes. So the point is that I Love Lucy was such a big hit, and that he revolutionized the way they shot film. Everybody started coming to Desilu. Our Miss Brooks with Eve Arden, that was another Desilu show. December Bride, they had 10 sitcoms running, and The Untouchables.
Oh, that was a good
He
one.
did The Untouchables. They did a lot of shows that didn't even make it.
Wow, open up a whole can of worms with you. This is great.
Well, no, I was a television dude, so but the whole point is that when they got divorced in 1960, all right, so they got divorced, but CBS was looking to fill the 9 o'clock spot. They go to Lucy, and she goes, "Would you want to come back and do another show?" And so, but you know what she did? Even though she was divorced, she goes, "Desi, can we put this show back together?" And Desi Arnaz sold the Lucy show. And that was so they kind of worked together, and then they phased it out about 64. And then, but by that time, Desi was sold off to Gulf and Wesson, which became part of Paramount. And one of the last projects that Lucy put on the air was Star Trek, the original series.
Mm-hmm.
She greenlighted that, and I mean, she was.
I've heard that.
She was a thing, and the whole thing is that at the same time, Desi Arnaz was doing another Lucy type show on NBC called The Mothers-in-Law with Eve Arden and Kay Ballard, which was basically if Lucy and Ethel had children and they were getting married, how they meddled. That's pretty much just the simple. But Desi Arnaz went back to the same writers of I Love Lucy. It was the same production crew, and they came back and they just did that, like they just continuated on the. But Lucy had her crew. It was amazing. But Desi Arnaz, man, he worked his ass off to really develop what television became today. He's a real unsung hero.
Yeah, oh, that's amazing.
and he had his
And he
own
also
band,
banged
right?
a lot of actresses in the
He
50s.
banged a lot, banged a
Yeah.
lot. But he had his
I
Hey,
know.
Lucy, I'm coming home late tonight, Hey, Rick, got an extra starlet for me? No, Fred, I got nothing for you tonight.
He was a good-looking guy.
I'm almost done here. Hey, Rick, can I smell her underwear after you're done? I only get to smell Vivian Vance's every once in a
Oh
while.
my God! So
It
Desi
smells
was,
like regret and urine.
Oh God. So Desi was Cuban, right?
Yes, he was Cuban.
So do you think there was a big controversy when they had that interracial kind of?
Oh yeah,
couple at
the CBS didn't want to show, and even though Cuban's almost white.
I know.
But
but
it's like, but back then
yeah.
it was a bigger divide. And the thing is that they didn't want to show an interracial marriage, even as Cuban as it's not bad. But Lucy stuck to her guns and said, "You want my favorite husband on TV? You have Desi as the husband." So she stood up for him, but he did all the background work. Because he was actually a really good actor. So him just doing Ricky Ricardo, he just came in and did his lines and it was there. Lucy had time to work on the bits, but he made sure the production went well from week to week.
And
He
had
did
his
all
own
the heavy
band-
lifting.
And he had his own band, and he was traveling across the country and
Yeah.
doing all that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he
he had a
did
string of
all the
hookers to work on his Babalu every once in a while.
His
Babalu.
Babalu. I gotta read more about him because that was very interesting what you just said. I didn't realize all
Yeah,
that.
it's just shit I've picked up over the years, because there was a
like
book.
that.
There was a book I got when I was about 20 called The History of Sitcoms, and it was just about that. And that's where
What's your favorite sitcom of all time?
Get Smart.
Oh, I love Get
The
Smart.
ori-
That's
Get
so
Smart.
good.
First of all, any show that has Mel Brooks and Buck Henry as the creators.
Yes.
And then you had guys who wrote for that show. Mike Marmer, who wrote for Ernie Kovacs. He wrote a lot of the first season
Well,
episodes.
you're like a fucking walking TV guy.
I
like
know.
this. I like
can't.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But Mike Marmer and Stan Burns were good writers. Chris Hayward and Alan Burns, who ended up working on the Mary Tyler Moore show, they wrote a lot of the later episodes, but they also created the monsters. So there's a lot of cross, so the whole thing is that these guys, but the whole show was Don Adams. I'm sorry. The guy they wanted originally for Get Smart,
Yeah.
for Maximal Smart,
Yeah.
Tom Poston, the guy who played George, the caretaker on Newhart.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I can see that.
And they wanted him to be Get Smart and play it a little more goofier, but the problem is, the season before on a show called The Bill Dana Show, Don Adams came in, and he used to do this old bit in his stand-up routine where he talked like William Powell, from the Thin Man, and he talked like this, and he played this arrogant little man, and it was just so hilarious. Buck Henry said, "Yeah, he's perfect for the part." So they changed the scope of the character. And also on the Bill Dana show, Bill Dana and Don Adams' boss was the guy who was Dr. Smith, Jonathan Harris. Oh dear!
He would be great on Trivia Pursuit.
I have never lost a game. Seriously.
I'm sure you have.
People will not play me because my wife will not play Trivial Pursuit with me because he said, "You fucking win all the time."
We should do that.
I welcome any challenge. I would gladly accept defeat.
We should have a Trivial Pursuit night on air.
Yeah.
I'd be up for that.
Me, you, and Marty versus like whoever else in the station.
Oh, you want me on your team?
Yes. I'm not playing against you. Not after all that. Not after that.
Yeah, I'll just come in. You know what? I'll come in with like a helmet on, and I'll act like, and then I'll be like Rain Man. Oh boy, Desi Arnaz, 1952. He developed the 3-camera system. Oh boy. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
5 minutes to
love that.
Wapner.
That would be great.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Eve Arden, she used 6 tampons at a time.
Oh, wait, do we have? Oh no, we had Dragnet. Oh, that's the wrong one.
I'll tell you more about that show. I know some shit about Jack Webb too.
Wow. Well, we have to end.
Yes.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
could I tell you the Jack Webb thing real fast?
Yes. Go ahead.
He would have been an iconic part in a comedy movie if he accepted the role.
Well, roll.
Dean Warmer,
In Animal House?
Animal House. He turned it down.
He turned it down.
He turned it down. He said he didn't want to be in a production that was vulgar.
Oh.
Oh my.
He would have been
God.
he would have been revered as a comedy god because of that part. But he was very set in his ways, and I'll tell you more about him next time I'm on.
We gotta have him on like Trivia Pursuiters. Like, we gotta do
That's
that.
a good. Like I said, this looks like a game show set.
Yes, it does.
We should
Yeah.
definitely do it.
Next up. All right.
Thanks
Dave,
for-
Marty, thank you for having me on. Hey, let's do one quick plug. Yes, thank you.
Yes,
Do
one
plug.
quick plug.
This Thursday night at Villa Maria Restaurant and Pizzeria over at 3800 Quaker Bridge Road, number 4, 7:30. It's a free show. We got some great comics coming in. BYOB. Come early, get yourself a lot of food from Sam and the guys over there. Take it into the comedy room, have a great time. We've got, I'll be hosting the show along with Lynn Edmonds, Randy Simon Lupo, Tim Eli. We've got Ed McCarty from Bridgewater showing up, and PJ Stansberry, who used to work for the Comedy Store. So we've got a nice lineup.
Awesome.
So come on out, and it kicks off at 7:30 p.m. this Thursday night.
Awesome. I'm glad
If you're not
here.
going to Holy Thursday services, come on out to the comedy
Oh, we
church.
were gonna go to
We're
that.
going to go to Holy Thursday.
Come-
We were gonna go.
Come to the Church of the Almighty Laugh on Saturday.
We should go. We have Easter Sunday coming up.
Yes, I know.
So Jesus walks into a hotel and he puts 3 nails down the table and he goes to the guy, "Hey, can you put me up for the night?" All right. That's where I'm ending it. That's my Jesus show for tonight.
Music back on.
Oh yeah, we have her. We can do this one.
Oh, no problem.
Well, actually, I'll do this one. Hold on.
Mel Brooks.
And Germany. Kurt, you are a wealth of information. Gina, we're done.
Oh, we have to get Gina some.